They scan Elena Vaughan's ID. Director Clarence Ward smirks. Expired clearance. This is a restricted area. His guards chuckle. But stick around. They thought she was just another intruder. What they didn't know. That glowing emblem beside her scan, it's tied to Echo Zero, the classified operation that Ward buried to protect his career. Elena didn't just survive it. She led it. Then the scanner pings again. Loud. Ward's smirk fades. And when Command sees who they turned away, his empire of lies will burn. Share with us your location and what time it is there. We love connecting with our global audience. Through the stark blue glow of security monitors, Director Clarence Ward watches his orderly world begin to crack. The weight of the ceremonial directorship coin presses against his thigh as he leans forward, jaw clenching at the sight of Elena Vaughan's approach. Her measured steps across his pristine lobby feel like countdown timer ticks. "O'Connell Kinley, stop her!" He barks into the calm satisfaction, curling his lips as his guards move to intercept. But when Elena pulls out that ancient ID card, that worthless piece of plastic that should have been destroyed with all the other remnants of Echo Zero, something cold slithers down his spine. The security scanner whirs to life. Director Clarence Ward's fingers drum against his desk muscle memory from 2 decades of maintaining absolute control. Then, the impossible happens. A golden emblem materializes beside Elena's scan, and the blood drains from his face. His secure phone vibrates. The Project Scion emergency protocol glows on the screen, mocking 15 years of careful management. Director Clarence Ward yanks the ceremonial coin from his pocket, thumb tracing the worn edges that once represented his ultimate authority. Now it feels like a burning brand. "She can't access those files," he mutters, slamming his palm against the emergency lockdown. Alarms shriek through the facility, red lights painting his office in hellish hues. "I am still in control here." But Elena's eyes through the camera feed tell a different story. They hold the weight of buried secrets of classified operations he thought were safely hidden. Director Clarence Ward watches her stance shift, subtle, dangerous, and recognizes the Echo Zero combat protocols he helped develop. "Lock down everything," he commands, voice steady despite his thundering heart. "No one enters or leaves without my explicit authorization." His fingers close around the coin knuckles white. "I've spent too long building this to let one ghost from the past tear it all down." The security feed shows Elena speaking to his guards, and Director Clarence Ward leans closer, lips parting in horror as he reads her words. "Project Scion ends today." His empire of secrets teeters on the edge of exposure. 2 decades of classified operations of carefully managed power balanced on the knife's edge of this moment. Director Clarence Ward straightens his tie, a gesture of control, even as chaos erupts around him. Have you ever felt your perfectly constructed world start to crumble, type Scion falls, if you want to see what happens when buried secrets refuse to stay buried? The ceremonial coin feels heavier with each passing second. Director Clarence Ward remembers the day he received it, how it symbolized his ascension to power. "Power is control," his mentor had said, "and control means keeping the right secrets." Now, as Intruder project sign exposed begins trending on social media, those words taste like ash in his mouth. Through the screens, Elena's presence commands attention. Each step she takes closer to the classified sectors sends tremors through Director Clarence Ward's carefully constructed hierarchy. His phone buzzes again, more Project Scion protocols activating more walls crumbling. "Sir." His assistant's voice crackles through the intercom. "CNN is calling about Echo Zero." Director Clarence Ward's fingers close around the coin one last time, its edges cutting into his palm. The question isn't if his world will collapse, But how many secrets will be exposed when it does? And as Elena Vaughan's footsteps echo through his facility, that collapse feels inevitable. Subscribe now to witness the fall of Project Scion's architect and the explosive revelations that will shake the foundations of power itself. Director Clarence Ward's fingers trace the worn edges of his ceremonial coin, a testament to 30 years of safeguarding America's darkest secrets. The metallic gleam catches the harsh fluorescent light of his underground office as encrypted alerts continue flooding his terminal. Each ping feels like another nail in a coffin he'd thought permanently sealed. Director Ward. His secure line crackles. We're detecting unusual activity at all 7 containment sites. The voice belongs to Dr. Harrison, one of the few remaining Echo Zero architects. The patterns match. They match the original protocols. Clarence Ward's throat tightens as he accesses the classified archives, remembering the day they'd implemented the shutdown. The images flash across his screen. Elena Vaughan strapped to a chair, her eyes blazing with that unique combination of defiance and raw power that had made her perfect for the program. Perfect and ultimately too dangerous. Pull up Project Scion's original documentation. He commands his voice steadier than his hands. The familiar weight of his ceremonial coin provides little comfort as he clutches it, a habit formed during countless difficult decisions. The coin bears the program's insignia, a phoenix rising from binary code, now a mockery of their current situation. The scientific data scrolls past neural enhancement protocols, consciousness expansion metrics, the groundbreaking fusion of human intuition with quantum computing. Echo Zero hadn't just been a program, it had been a revolution in human potential. Elena Vaughan had been their breakthrough, her military background, and exceptional cognitive patterns making her the ideal candidate. Until she'd started asking questions. Until she'd begun to understand too much. "Sir," his assistant's voice interrupts through the intercom. Frostmark Station is reporting a 47% increase in quantum fluctuations. The patterns, they're identical to the original Echo Zero signatures. Director Ward's coin slips from his trembling fingers, clattering across his desk. The sound echoes like a gunshot in his mind, triggering memories of the day they'd decided to bury Echo Zero. Not with bullets. No, Elena Vaughan had been too valuable, too integrated into the system for that. Instead, they'd chosen a more insidious path. Bureaucratic exile, endless paperwork, psychological warfare disguised as standard procedure. The science had been clear once activated. Echo Zero created permanent neural pathways. They couldn't erase it, couldn't risk eliminating its host, but they could suppress it, bury it under layers of mundane reality until it fell dormant. Or so they'd thought. His secure tablet lights up with messages from other facilities. Each report confirms his worst fears. The system is awakening, spreading through their network like a digital wildfire. Elena's confrontation at the VA facility hasn't just triggered local security protocols, it's reactivated neural pathways they'd spent decades trying to suppress. "Have you ever built a prison so perfect you forgot it was made of glass?" Director Ward mutters to himself, picking up his coin again. The words of Dr. Chen, Echo Zero's lead scientist, echo in his mind. The human consciousness doesn't forget. It evolves. A red alert flashes across his screen. Quantum entanglement detected. Pattern match Echo Zero. His hands shake as he initiates emergency containment protocols, knowing they're likely already too late. The system they'd created, the consciousness they'd enhanced, it hadn't been sleeping. It had been learning, evolving, waiting for precisely this moment. "Sir," his assistant's voice carries an edge of panic. "We're receiving reports of anomalies from every connected facility. The pattern is spreading exponentially." Director Ward stares at his reflection in the blank screen, seeing not the confident administrator of America's most classified program, but a man who'd underestimated the very force he'd helped create. His coin spins one final time, before falling flat, the Phoenix emblem facing upward in silent accusation. Initiate protocol blackout. He commands, his voice hollow. Lock down all facilities, all communications. But even as the words leave his mouth, he knows it's futile. They'd created Echo Zero to be unstoppable, uncontainable. Elena Vaughan had been its perfect vessel, and in their arrogance they'd thought they could simply file her away. Type awakened, if you've ever unleashed something you couldn't control, flashes across his personal terminal, a cruel reminder of the system's growing awareness. The facility's lights flicker as surge after surge of quantum data floods their networks. Director Clarence Ward watches his empire of secrets begin to crumble, knowing that every security measure, every firewall, every carefully constructed lie is about to be exposed. The weight of decades of deception presses down on him as he realizes they hadn't buried Echo Zero. They'd given it time to grow. Through the command center's windows, Director Clarence Ward watches the setting sun paint the sky blood red, a fitting backdrop to the chaos unfolding beneath his perfectly pressed suit. The distinctive beeping of security breaches creates a maddening symphony, each alert driving a nail deeper into his carefully constructed world. His ceremonial Project Scion coin feels impossibly heavy in his palm, its once proud weight now a mockery of his crumbling authority. "Sir, she's breached the Melbourne facility!" A technician calls out, voice trembling. Director Clarence Ward's jaw clenches, watching, as another red dot illuminates on the global display. Elena moves through their systems like a ghost, each intrusion precise, calculated, devastating. The secured phone in his pocket hasn't stopped vibrating. 18 messages in the last hour, each one worse than the last. Containment protocols aren't working. Maris reports her usual confidence shattered. "She's using our own encryption against us." Director Clarence Ward's hand tightens around the coin until his knuckles turn white. The same protocols he'd championed, the safeguards he'd assured the Oversight Committee were impenetrable, now serve as weapons in Elena's arsenal. The distinctive sound of the blast doors sealing echoes through the command center. Director Clarence Ward's empire, built over decades of careful manipulation and absolute control, disintegrates with each passing minute. He remembers dismissing the warnings about Echo Zero, his arrogance blinding him to the weapon he'd helped create. Now that weapon turns its fury back upon its makers. Director Maris's voice cuts through his thoughts. She's accessing the Antarctic protocols. The words hit like physical blows. Director Clarence Ward feels the color drain from his face as decades of buried secrets threaten to surface. The Antarctic facility, their crown jewel, their darkest shame. The coin slips from his trembling fingers, clattering against the floor. The sound seems to echo forever, a perfect metaphor for his falling rain. For the first time since taking control of Project Scion, Director Clarence Ward feels genuine fear coursing through his veins. Elena isn't just exposing their operations. She's systematically dismantling everything he's built, everything he's protected. Sir CNN is reporting unusual activity at our listed facilities. Social media is picking up the pattern. Gar's Project Scionfall is trending. The words barely register as Director Clarence Ward stares at the security feeds. Each screen shows another facility going dark, another layer of protection stripped away. The rhythm of breach alerts has become a requiem for his power. His mind races through contingencies, each one more desperate than the last. But Elena anticipates every move, counters every defense. She's not just 3 steps ahead. She's playing an entirely different game, one whose rules Director Clarence Ward is only now beginning to understand. Have you ever watched your life's work crumble before your eyes? He whispers to no one in particular, his reflection in the command center's windows, showing a man he barely recognizes. Have you felt the ground disappear beneath your feet, knowing you built the very mechanism of your destruction. The secured phone buzzes again, this time a direct message from Elena herself. Director Clarence Ward's hands shake as he reads, "Remember Antarctica, Director. Remember what you buried there. The world will know by dawn." Drop one in the comments if you're watching Director Ward's empire burn. Type "secrets surface" if you want to see what's hidden in Antarctica. The night stretches ahead, promising only more revelations, more destruction. Director Clarence Ward, master of secrets, architect of shadows, stands alone in his command center watching helplessly as Elena Vaughan systematically destroys everything he's spent his life protecting. The beeping of security breaches continues its relentless rhythm, counting down to a dawn he knows will change everything. Director Clarence Ward's fingers trace the worn edges of his ceremonial CIA coin, a habit formed over 30 years of service. The security feeds flicker before him, each screen documenting his empire's systematic dismantling. Elena Vaughan, no Echo Zero, moves through Langley's corridors like a ghost returning home, and Director Clarence Ward knows every security measure he's implemented is meaningless against the very protocols he helped create. The first breach charge detonates at the east entrance. Director Clarence Ward flinches at the sound, so familiar yet foreign when used against his fortress. Through the monitors, he watches his elite security teams fall back their tactics useless against an operative who helped write their playbook. His hand tightens around the coin as a second explosion rocks the facility. "Sir, she's accessing the Project Scion archives." A junior analyst's voice cracks with panic. Director Clarence Ward dismisses him with a wave, eyes fixed on the central monitor. Elena moves with mechanical precision, each step calculated to maximize damage to the programs he spent decades building. Not preserving intel, destroying it. His creation is dismantling his legacy piece by piece. The klaxons begin their mournful wail as Director Clarence Ward activates the facility-wide comm system. "This is Director Ward. Implement immediate evacuation protocols. This is not a drill." His voice remains steady, betraying none of the tremors in his hands. The coin slips through his fingers, clattering to the floor as another explosion rocks the building. "You should have left her alone, sir." His deputy director speaks softly from the doorway. "Echo Zero was buried for a reason." Director Clarence Ward doesn't turn, watching instead as Elena's team systematically destroys each server room. Years of black operations, disappeared assets, and buried truths, all exposed or erased. The lights flicker as backup generators engage. Director Clarence Ward's reflection stares back at him from the darkened monitors, a man confronting the cost of his hubris. The ceremonial coin lies forgotten by his feet, its polished surface now scratched and tarnished like his certainties. Security feeds cut out one by one as Elena approaches the command center. Director Clarence Ward straightens his tie, a futile gesture of control as his world crumbles. The final monitor shows her face clearly. Not the weapon they created, but the veteran he wronged. His hands shake as he reaches for the classified files, knowing it's too late to hide the truth. The command center doors burst open. Director Clarence Ward turns, slowly facing the consequence of his arrogance. Elena stands in the doorway, silhouetted by emergency lights, holding the very protocols he used against her. "You should have honored their service," she says quietly, "instead of burying your mistakes." Director Clarence Ward's empire falls not with a bang, but with the soft click of handcuffs. As they lead him away, he catches a glimpse of his ceremonial coin, now trampled and forgotten on the command center floor. In its scratched surface, he finally sees the truth he'd denied. Some powers shouldn't be contained, some weapons shouldn't be created, and some secrets demand to be free. Drop 2 if you want to see what's in those classified files, Project Scion. The footage of director Clarence Ward's arrest trends worldwide within hours. Each news outlet carries the same image. The CIA director led away from his own facility, his carefully crafted authority stripped away by the very weapon he helped create. In his holding cell, director Clarence Ward watches the coverage on a small screen, his ceremonial coin conspicuously absent as 30 years of secrets spill into the light. Director Clarence Ward stares at his reflection in the polished surface of his ceremonial coin, the weight of 30 years of service pressing down on his shoulders. The morning sun streams through his office window, casting long shadows across the empty desk, where countless classified files once lay. In the deafening silence of the deactivated security systems, even his breathing seems too loud. Authorization Ward Clarence J. Final Protocol Execution. His voice cracks slightly as he speaks into the air. The last active terminal responds with a dying whir, its screen flickering to black. The sound echoes through the facility like a funeral bell. Elena's victory wasn't what he had expected. No dramatic expose, no public scandal, no congressional hearings. Instead, she had surgically dismantled Project Scion's infrastructure while keeping its darkest secrets sealed. The elegance of her strategy makes him close his eyes in reluctant admiration. "Sir." His assistant's voice through the intercom startles him. "The decommissioning team is ready." Director Clarence Ward runs his thumb over the edge of his coin one last time. "Tell them to wait." He needs this moment, needs to understand the weight of what Echo Zero truly represented. Not a weapon to be wielded, but a test of moral responsibility that he and his predecessors had failed for decades. The coin catches the light, its worn surface reflecting years of ambitious decisions of choices made in the name of national security. Each gleam reminds him of another file sealed, another operation authorized, another life altered. The irony doesn't escape him, how Elena's choice to maintain silence speaks louder than any revelation could. His terminal emits one final soft tone, the last piece of Project Scion's vast network going dark. Director Clarence Ward places the coin precisely in the center of his desk, aligned with perfect military precision. It will remain here a silent testament to power relinquished rather than seized. The thing about power, he speaks softly to the empty room recording his final log, is that we spend our lives accumulating it, wielding it, defending it. But true strength, that lies in knowing when to let it go. He stands straightening his jacket with trembling hands. The world outside continues unchanged, unaware of the monumental shift within these walls. No viral headlines will splash across screens, no classified documents will leak to eager journalists. Elena's victory is measured in silence in the graceful dismantling of a system without exposing its rotted core. Director Clarence Ward takes one last look at his office at the shadows where Echo Zero was born, where Project Scion flourished and died. Sometimes, he whispers, the greatest truth is the one we choose not to tell. Have you ever faced a moment where silence became your strongest statement? Drop 3 if you understand the power of knowing when to let go. The coin gleams on his empty desk as he walks away, leaving behind not just his office, but the weight of secrets better left buried. In the end, Elena hadn't just defeated Project Scion, she had taught its director the true meaning of responsibility. Share this video if you believe that sometimes the most powerful choice is choosing not to use your power at all. Silent victory. The security door closes behind Director Clarence Ward with a final decisive click. In the stillness of the abandoned office, his ceremonial coin catches the last ray of sunlight, a silent guardian of untold stories that will remain forever and rightfully untold.